Okay, so we're up at Omix-ADA. We're going over their Jeep collection, show you some Jeeps so you can look for them, and the Jeep Hunter's Field Guide, see what you are looking at. This is a CJ-3B. This is a 1964 version. This is a flatty with a round fender motor, as in it has a 134 F-head motor instead of the L-head. It has 72 horsepower, 75, depends on who you ask. This one is pretty. I'm not gonna lie, this is a pretty Jeep. Essentially all this is a CJ-3A with a raised hood to accommodate the motor. The height is essentially the same as the 3A. All they did was take the width from here on the 3As that are about 8 tall and shrink it down so it'll fit on here. It still has the same type of pivoting windshield that's gonna go down. One-piece windshield like the 3As, they kept that. It does still have the lower vacuum-fed windshield wipers. Okay, this bar right here is for your soft top to go on. It's pretty cool in that respect. Okay, the grill, it is the same thing, except it does have some differences. One of the biggest differences is these lights right here, they don't go inside the actual slats of the grill, all 7, because it's a civilian Jeep. It still has the same type of blinker lights, parking lights. You can see where this is the windshield's going to be held down. All right, so this is the motor that goes in. This is an F-head, 134 motor. This is the Hurricane. All right, this motor pulls about 72 to 75 horsepower. It's enough to move this Jeep around pretty well. This one runs about 65, which is pretty fast for these Jeeps, and it will make it wobble. So it's something to think about. It's pretty standard as far as the implements that are on this motor compared to the other motor, the L-head. Essentially, it's still got the oil bath. There's a little bit of oil down here and some wire mesh, and it'll pull the air through the oil and whatnot, and the oil will trap all the dirt and whatnot. You can see this is where you're going to fill your oil. This is your oil filter, your distributor, your starter down there, and your generator, your voltage regulator, your 12-volt battery. These vehicles did come in a 6 and a 12-volt system. The early ones were the 6 volts. Everything else is pretty standard on it. The radiator, whatnot. Okay, the linkage and everything for the fuel is up here. It's pretty good. It's got springs that pull it in and out. So this is the fuel pump down here. Runs off your cam. It's a pretty heavy duty thing as far as after you get it going, it'll stay going. This is where your vent burn off is going to come out of it. You spark plugs and whatever. It's a pretty easy motor to work on. You got your hose for your water and everything. Circulation right here. That's where your wires are going to hook into, and your 12-volt horn. Okay. You can see right here where your vacuum lines are going to come in, and they're going to run all the way around. And they come back into your pump over here. For the most part, it's a pretty easy motor to get set up and everything. It's a good motor. It's a good strong motor. When you drive it, you can tell it's got a lot of power to it for the amount of weight that it's pushing around. You can still tell it's a really kind of a flimsy type hood. The 2As and 3As and MB and GPWs and the M38 they're all like this. The hood will change when we get to the CJ5s and the M38A1 or MD. Standard headlights. It still has the same tires. It's going to have a 6.0 16-inch tire. You can put non-directional tread on them. That's what normally comes with most of these Jeeps. 16-inch wheel, and you can have the warm locking hubs on here. There is a vent system that they put in that this is covering actually, but there is a vent there. It'll have a screen. Still has the little step and all. Let's see. The seat. Okay, so this is something about the 3Bs. The early 3Bs have the same type seating as the 3As and 2As, as in it pivots forward, but on the pivots, on the 3As, the pivot is on the front of the toolbox. So it'll sit like right here and roughly right there. The pivot itself has one bolt in it here and one bolt over there in the bracket. When you get into later models, the seat actually changes. So what they did to accommodate the heavier seat and the way it sits back more is to bring it in 3 inches or so and add this type of bracket. If you can get a shot of that, we can see it better. Okay. That's one way for you to tell whether it's an early or late model 3B. Okay, so these seats, as you can see, they're a one-piece seat, as in it's not a frame with seat cushions that attach to it. It's actually all built into the seat. These are a good bit more comfortable. It's got a good 6 inches on it. So can see it's got all the springs and whatnot. Nowadays, this is what an original seat's going to look like. Nowadays, if you go get it reupholstered, they're going to put a cushion in here. So, something to think about. The toolbox is right here in the passenger seat. Most of the time in the field, these are no good. This is one of the things that goes out first, because if you don't put the rubber in here and you leave it outside, it just fills with water and rusts through. So that's one of the things. If you find one that does have a toolbox in it, snatch it up, because it's going to be a lot less work for you. Okay, the rear of the 3B, like I said, it's the same thing as a 3A and a 2A. The one thing about these being civilian Jeeps is that they do have a tailgate, which is nice for, you know, universal work. It does have the drawbar on this one. These are set up so that if you get the hydraulic system, a 3-point hitch and things like that, you can set them up. These are for chains and tools and whatever else you want to use as a utilitarian type vehicle. The exhaust does come out of the back, so it does run the length of the driver's side and comes out and sits right here. These are the correct type of taillights that go on these. This is essentially where it's supposed to be. The tailgate itself, it's hinged right here. So you would, well, I'll show you what. Okay, so you could set it in there like that. Tailgate will sit. You can adjust these chains to fit your vehicle however length it has to be. These do come with a rear seat. There's something else you can put in there. You can or cannot get it. It's up to you. So it will take in there and it'll slide and it'll pivot right there. And this little piece right here, you'll actually be able to knock this out. And these two bolts right here are holes for bolts. There's a clip that goes in there, and it's a round clip like that, and the seat will actually click down inside of it. So it's pretty easy. You just knock this out, you know, sand it a little bit, put the clip underneath, and it'll allow you to have your back seat stick into place. Okay, the tailgates on these are removable, just like the windshield. I would say doors, but these ones don't even have doors. That's as easy it is to take the tailgate off, nothing to it. Just remember, if you take your chains off and let it go, it will smack down on top of your drawbar. This is something that comes up a lot. Is this bumper supposed to sit on the outside like that? Yes, it is. It actually does sit that far out. Your license plate would sit on this. We get a lot of questions about that, and yes, it will sit like this. If it's not like that, it's not correct. You got all your holes for your footman loops. You can see them all throughout the vehicle for any kind of, you want to put your soft top on there and have it to pull down. That's what the footman loops are for. The fuel filler is on the outside like the other CJs. The fuel is still underneath you right here. It is a 10-gallon tank. Okay, that's okay. All right, well, let's jump inside and get a good look at it. These do come with seat belts. I highly suggest you get seat belts to put in them. This is a way more comfortable Jeep. I can tell you can sit down a little bit further. It's a little bit springier. The interior of this vehicle, it's a very simple vehicle. You got your cluster gauges, lights, key, start, choke, and throttle. Well, that's essentially it on these. This is your brake. You can see this is a difference on the 3Bs rather than the 3As. Because they had to pull the hood and everything up, this actually made the steering column have to stick out like this in order to accommodate where it's been for the 3As and 2As. So this is a bracket that you're going to find inside of them. The windshield wipers, they're vacuum. It's pretty easy to use. They have two of them on the bottom. The windshield, essentially, it will fold forward just like the 3As and 2As. This is where you're going to find your tag for your ID. The other one's going to be on your inside firewall on the passenger side. It's got dimming lights right here for your foot pedal, clutch. The pedals actually change into these vehicles where they're going to have a rubber padding rather than an actual metal pedal. This is where you're going to be able to get into your master cylinder. That cover right there, hang on to it. This panel right here that accommodates for the transmission, this is a really hard piece to find, so if you have it in there, make sure you keep it. You got your fuel. This is for the T90 transmission. It's reverse, 1, 2, 3. Okay. This lever right here, this is for the Warn overdrive. Okay. This is going to get you an extra 10 miles an hour. So this run 65, maybe 70 if you really push it because of this overdrive. This is going to be your Dana 18 transfer case. This first one is going to put it in and out of four-wheel drive. You push it up to be out, you pull it down to be in. You got to be in neutral to do this. You're going to put this stick in neutral. So you take this one and it's going to give you the range. So you go all the way up and it's going to be low, and you pull all the way down and it's going to be in high gear. Okay. Okay. Okay, so like I said earlier, these seats are different in the earlier and later model vehicles. These are actually adjustable seats, so you can, you got about a good 2.5 inches that you can bring it forward and back. Come on this side, if you would. The seat sits over top of a 10-gallon fuel tank. It's held down right here. Okay, so because of the style of seat when they're changing from the older to the newer, they made this little bracket right here. And this bracket's going to accommodate this type of body. Okay, so this is where it's going to have a little bracket that goes like that to hold this piece up. And when you adjust it, you just move that across. There's a little nut, a square nut that goes in there, and it'll stay in there, and it'll allow you to tighten it. All right. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed your tour of Omix-ADA's 1964 CJ-3B. For the Jeep Hunters Field Guide, my name's Jonah. Happy hunting.